Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Here Be Dragons Into the Unknown. Into the unknown.
Hey, we want to get with a copyright infringement.
Into the unknown. I can't, hold on. I got to do it in my head.
You gotta finish it?
Okay, now that I did it. So we are talking about this game. It is designed by Ken Aberg. It is also designed by Kim Janson, who also did the artwork. And it is published by Atati's Games.
You guys, have you ever seen one of those old-timey maps where it's like, okay, here's the land masses that we know about, here's the water that we're familiar with, but over here, it says, Hic sunt Draconis.
What?
Have you ever seen one of those?
Never.
All right, well, what that means is, here be dragons, just like the game. So what they're saying is, over here is our land we know, here's the water that we know, over here our boats keep on disappearing. Must be dragons.
It's the only plausible explanation.
Over here, there's dragons. Avoid. Just avoid the dragons. But that's exactly what's happening in this game. You are exploring, just like those explorers were when they were making those maps. But in this case, you've got to fight the dragons. They're real, and they're coming after you. You're exploring. You're discovering all these new areas. You might have monsters popping up from time to time. You might have to fight each other, even. All the time to achieve all these different quests and trying to get victory points, ultimately. Let me give you a quick overview of how to play, and then we'll get back to it. Here is our starting setup for Here Be Dragons. Alright, so we've got our three sets of monsters, our easy, our medium, and our hard, essentially. And these are kind of our monster tokens, and all of our boss tokens as well. We've got an event deck we're going to draw from every turn, and every player's going to have their own player pieces. We're going to start the board off with just our one kind of water tile. All of our starting pawns are going to go there, and we're also going to have these kind of directional arrows that show where we intend to go. So the first thing you're going to do on your turn is you're going to move your pawn towards your arrow. In this case, we're going to go there. There is nothing there right now. We have to explore it. So we're going to draw from our bag here, and we're going to draw a tile out. Alright, so we've got this mountain range here. I'll explain kind of all the different things about that. But first, when you first explore it, you're going to have some resources there that you're going to be able to gain. Alright, so next thing you're going to do is you're going to draw from the event deck. You're going to see what it says. This particular one says, this is an item. This is a one-time use item. Choose a target player, choose a face-down item from their hand, and take it to your hand. So basically, this is a way that you can kind of steal their cards. There's basically two things that you might find in the deck. There's going to be things that you reveal over, and it's going to be the eyeball there. These are going to be quests, usually. These are all different benefits that you're going to gain if you gain that quest. Some money, some resources, even some victory points. And this is going to say what it takes to fulfill the quest. In this case, it says, find and defeat a monster on a mountain tile. Well, we've got a mountain tile there, and it's got a monster symbol on it, so that's a great start. And then again, we've got these different items. This one can heal us. There's a ton of different quests, a ton of different items in that deck. We're also going to gain some income at this point in the round. Basically, if you have any production buildings, you're going to be able to gain the resources from that building. For instance, if we were able to build where we are right now, we would gain 2 of those resources every round because of that building. The third phase of the round is going to be interact. This is where all your actions happen. One of the things you can do is you can search for monsters. In order to search for a monster, you need to be on a tile that has that monster symbol like we are there. What we're going to do is we're going to roll a d6. If you get a 1 or a 2, no monster comes out. But if you roll a 3 through 6, a monster does come out, based off of whatever the numbers are. In this case, it's a 3 through 4. So we're going to flip that over, and we're going to face that monster. Obviously, this is just an example. You would never face a monster at that level at this point in the game without any resources or kind of building things up at this point. But just to show you guys how it would work. Alright, and again, this monster says this is how much dice they're going to be able to roll against you. This is the benefits you're going to be able to get if you can beat them. And this is their special ability they're going to have. Each one of the monsters is different, and in fact, there's 3 different stacks. They get easier or harder, depending on which stack you draw from. And again, here's an easy, only rolling 2 dice with some easy text, versus a medium versus a hard. But the rewards also get better and better as you go on. So you can look for monsters, you can fight monsters, you can actually build where you are if there's nothing else around you. There's a little village there. That's going to give you a chance to get some income. Also, eventually you're going to be able to upgrade it more and more. It's going to give you some victory points, some influence, and again, some income. Another action you can do is you can play cards from your hand, especially those items, or if you've fulfilled the quest, you can show that quest to show that you've completed it and take those benefits. You can also spend gold to advance on your tech tree, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. That's another one of the actions you can take. Also, if you have 10 influence points, you can trade them in for a victory point. As the board grows and expands, you're going to be able to place these district cubes to kind of show that what's your territory. Those are going to give you some production as well, based off the tiles where you place them. And based off of how many district tiles you have, the district cubes, you're going to be able to upgrade your village even higher and higher and higher to get more income and more victory points. And lastly, you can also fight other players as well. You can move to where they are, and you can battle. Whether you are facing a monster or whether you are facing another player, combat still kind of works the same basic way. Let's pretend that we are the red player that's using these red dice, and we're facing against the black player. What we're going to do is we're going to line up the dice based off of numeric value. So we've got a 5, and a 4. They've got a 5 and a 3. So these first ones here are tied. We're going to line up the highest to the lowest. These tied, so we're going to keep hanging on to those. Our next highest beat their next highest, so we're going to get rid of that. And these two are not in play. We're going to re-roll everything again. Alright, so their highest beat our highest, so we'll get rid of that. So we still have a chance here. Alright, our highest beat their highest. The red player won that battle. So how do you get more dice and how do you get better at combat? Well, let's go to the tech tree and I'll show you. Alright, here is our tech tree. This does a couple things for us. First of all, it shows us all of our resources down below here. We have our victory points across the very top. At the beginning of the game, you're going to kind of call out how many victory points you want to play to. A standard game is 10 points, but maybe you only have a limited amount of time. Maybe you choose 8 points or something like that. Or maybe you want to play a really long campaign, you choose 12 points. You have all your resources tracks. Also, the bottom one here is your health track. Alright, whenever you see this sword value here, that's how many dice you're going to be able to roll in combat. You start with a base value of 2, but you also have these 2 cubes. What you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to pay gold to move up on this tech tree. There's all these different branches, and you can kind of Y off and go in these different directions. So, for instance, we could pay 3 gold to go up here to get that dagger. It's going to give us an extra dice symbol. So let's kind of zoom in on this a little bit here. So we have an extra dice symbol. Also, all of the weapons on this branch are considered melee. You could pay 6, kind of Y's off again here, to go up to get a sword. Now you have 2 extra dice. Maybe you want to go up on this track. This gives you ranged weapons and more dice. This one gives you special abilities like +1 to all of your 4s. So whenever you roll a 4, it actually becomes a 5. There's an armor track. There is a kind of a magic track over here as well. There's all different special abilities you can unlock by going up on the tech tree. So you're going to be exploring, you're going to be battling other players, you're going to be building and gathering resources, and you're trying to get to that victory point marker that you set up at the beginning of the game first. Whoever gets that many victory points first is going to be declared the winner.
I liked the component quality of this game. You had this really nice player board with this really nice recessed areas for all your cubes and for the tech tree and to keep track of all of your markers. So I really like that. And then these good, nice, chunky, meeples that are everywhere and the little bad guys that are everywhere. And I really like the component quality.
The tech tree in this game was amazing. It was a literal tech tree, right? You had the base and you kind of going up and up and up this tech tree. You could upgrade up to 2 different lines. Maybe you wanted to upgrade your shields. Maybe you wanted to go after more ranged weapons. Maybe you wanted just a whole bunch of extra dice to work with. You could kind of customize your board however you wanted to have the best possible situation.
This game had a lot of chaos in it, and I kind of was here for that. So you didn't know what cards you were going to get. You didn't know what monster you're going to fight, if you're even going to be able to fight a monster. And when you were drawing tiles, you didn't really know what tile was going to come out. But I was kind of here for that chaos. And I can tell you that in 100% of the games that we played 2-player, 50% of us actually really enjoyed the chaos of that.
But that would leave us with math, the way the math is, that 50% did not enjoy that much chaos. And I would be representing that half of the spectrum. My goodness, it was too much randomness, too many factors outside of my control. I've been reading a little bit about design and those kinds of things. And what they say is usually you want 1, maybe 2 components that give you kind of a randomizing element. So you have the event deck, right? That's one randomizing element. But also, then you have to pull a tile from the bag. That's a random element. And then, if you wanted to fight a monster, you'd have to roll a die and see if your monster popped up. That's a random element. And then, if you wanted to fight that monster, you have to roll a bunch of dice. That's more random elements. And which monster pulled up? More random elements. It just felt like every step you took was random, which in an exploration game makes a lot of sense thematically, but from a gameplay experience standpoint, I was very unsatisfied. I did not feel like I had hardly any control of what happened on my turns. Let's say I really needed a certain quest to get some points or whatever and get the resources I needed. random events would make it so that I couldn't complete it. I did something completely outside of my control. And that was just really, really frustrating a lot of times. If you want to have a situation where you want to have hope that you can find something, but no matter how hard you try, it just isn't coming out of the bag, or the card's just not coming up, or the dice just aren't working for you, whatever the case is. There's just too many random elements for too long of a game, right? In a short little 5-minute dice game, that works. But in an hour, maybe more game, for me personally, that was way too much randomness and chaos.
It has finally happened. There is finally a game that Ryan is not gushing over, and I am. We never thought this day would come, and here it has arrived, and you are here as our witnesses to this.
It is usually the other way around.
All the things that Ryan was saying, I'm like, yeah. That was great. I liked that. That's totally good. It's an exploration game. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if a bad guy's in the forest or not. And you don't know if they're going to be there when you come back. This all makes sense to me. Like, I understand everything that's happening here. And I view all of it as a good thing. I liked the chaos in it. I liked that you could have a plan, but you couldn't really plan ahead. I do want to say if the game lasted super long, that would maybe bother me, but it didn't, because I knew that's what it was, and I understood that that's what was happening, and that I wouldn't be able to control anything, but I could still try to control and up my tech tree. It's just really funny. This never happens. I'm usually a lot harsher on all the games that we review, so it's just nice to be like, no.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting things going on here. The components are top notch. There's actually, a whole book that teaches, it has a kind of a campaign and a story mode to it. Adds this really nice narrative to this game. So there's definitely some really cool things about this game. Just for me personally, I like a little more controllable strategy mechanisms in my taste.
Not I suppose. Not I. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can follow us in all of these places. And
this one especially. Whatever it is.
I bet you it's going to be in between.
Probably.
It's going to be nowhere.
I'll make sure that it isn't.
Oh, okay. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.